technology that's designed to help other technologies, including telecommunications, deal with connections, and that's a graph database. You may not have heard of graph databases, but if you haven't, you will soon, or you would have soon if I hadn't been up here. Graph databases are the fastest growing category in database. So those of you who have been tracking this space have seen a proliferation. Every couple of weeks there's a new database coming out for the last few years. Out of all the different categories, relational, NoSQL, big data, graph databases are the fastest growing category in database. We at Neo4j invented the graph database back in 2000 and have more than 50 Global 2000 customers, many of whom are in telco. Telco is leading the charge in terms of using this technology because it's inherently about making connections and connecting people. Neo Technology was founded in 2009 based on technology developed in Sweden going back to 2000. We're based in the Bay Area, still with development offices in Sweden, London, Germany, other parts of the world. I'm Philip Bradley, VP of Products. We have a booth. Feel free to come by later, and I'll be happy to talk with you. Forrester estimates that 25% of enterprises or more will be using graph databases in the enterprise by 2017. A bit of a timeline. We invented what's known today as the property graph model back in 2000. Put the first graph database into production in 2003, contributed the first graph database to open source, Neo4j, in 2007, and we've gotten a few rounds of funding from Fidelity and a few Scandinavian investors, Sunstone and Connor, for a total of 25 million. In the last year, we've won all sorts of awards, Gartner Cool Vendor, InfoWorld Technology Awards, SD Times, and so on. I figured what would be interesting to talk about though is what are the graphs, what are the connected data sets inside of telco? Well, if you take a step back, you can find 5 important data sets that involve connections around which a number of business opportunities revolve. One is, of course, the network. This is the obvious one, right? The physical network, the virtual layers on top of it. And a number of large companies, including these logos, are using Neo4j either inside of their enterprise or inside of their telecommunications products to better understand the network, do dependency analysis. These are things that are in the sweet spot of what SQL databases and tabular formats are absolutely horrible at in terms of performance and in terms of their how long these queries can get and how difficult they can be to deal with. So we typically get brought in when someone's picked up the open source version of the product, is toying around with it on their laptop, and find that on their laptop a query will run 1,000 times faster than a big Oracle cluster in which they have their network stored. Beyond the network, the customer graph, so the social graph, the call graph, the master data graph, so customer corporate hierarchy, the hierarchy of product to feature, to package, to plan, and then inside of help desk, I've got all sorts of different documents that I might want to understand what's pointing to what document inside of a knowledge base, inside of the call center. Internet of Things is another interesting graph. You have the graph of devices, and actually we talk about Internet of Things, but it doesn't mean anything without connections. Internet of Things is really the Internet of connected things. And not only do you have your things that are connected, you have the people connected to the devices, you have your apps that are connected to the devices, the people that are connected to the apps, and you have the need to collaborate, to socialize, to deal with the hierarchy of locations, to understand who is in proximity to what else. These are all connected networks, and graphs are actually the ideal representation of these. So we're seeing a number of additional uses there. Who's using the technology today inside of telco? Here are some of the companies that we can talk about. And they are some of many companies now using graph databases and specifically using Neo4j in production.
Are you good?
I'm good.
All right. Thank you. questions? Questions from our carriers? All understood?
So, I'm sorry, how do you make money? Would it be a license of your database technology?
We have an open source community edition, which is good for tinkering, and there's a commercial edition, which is an enterprise edition that supports clustering, higher volumes, commercial agreements, has a license that's compatible with OEMing and so on.
So for me, I was a bit unclear about what pain point you're solving. What makes an enterprise say, my God, I've got to run to Neo4j and buy one of those graph things?
So the key pain, the runtime pain point is performance, and taking queries that will take minutes or sometimes hours and running them in some sub-second, often millisecond. The development time pain point is the fact that if I'm dealing with real-world data, it comes in, it changes, I need to make changes in my schema. The graph model lets you represent the data as it is in the real world without trying to figure out what sort of box it can fit into. That leads to queries that are much smaller. It leads to being able to update your app more easily. It's more agile. So in the end, while many of the people that may have bought for performance end up finding that actually their projects got done in time or ahead of time, whereas that kind of project with the kind of data complexity might have actually easily gone over budget in the past.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks.